Is it going? As you know, Doctor, hey, you are a martyr. You're a martyr, Doctor. You are a mod, Doctor. So you can post your links, post away, way. Getting some fuzz on the screen. Nothing like a good old dirty tie-dye shirt to clean that off. Well, tonight we are doing whatever you guys want to do. Um, I know I put up a vote. No one wants to look at stuff under a microscope, but I do have some interesting stuff. So if we get bored, we can do that later on. But you guys said you wanted to just look at fish, chat, and hang out, and I'm totally cool with that because this live stream is about you guys. So why was I late today? Because I'm always 10 minutes late, or well, I try to be 5 minutes late, but 10 minutes so that the alert goes out. I want to show you guys something real quick. All right. So in my backyard, that is not Mountain Dew. That is green water from my water collection bin collection. It's a collection of collection bins, and it's been semi-sunny lately, even though it hasn't been warm. And what have we gotten? Well, a whole lot of green water algae that I wanted to look at, and I'm gonna share you guys. I'm gonna show you guys a secret living in your aquarium. We'll talk about the packable contest also, but I want to show you guys a couple cool things that are going on in the fish room, and you guys aren't going to like one of them, which is I'm allowing all the algae to grow. And in a couple tanks that I can handle it because they're very hardy tanks the way I have them set up. Like they're filterless tanks and I threw a filter in them or something like that for this project. I'm even leaving food for 1 day, then I'm filming it under the microscope, then 2 days under the microscope, 3 days. Look at all those, look at all that. This is painful to do. I hate seeing that many Malaysian trumpet snails, but hopefully it'll be worth it. Hopefully we'll see a difference in results. Then we've got like a little filterless tank here, and you can actually hopefully see the little critters on the glass, the little white seed shrimp and ostracods. And there's only a few of these guys in there, or Heteranda formosa, least killifish, a few of them, and a few ram's horn snails, and a bunch of plants. No filter again, no heater, nothing like that. And just sand as the substrate. But you can already see in the 6 months this tank's been up, which is one of my newest tanks, you can already see that the silt has kind of settled and stratified in there. Not quite like it does in a tank that's 7 years old, like right here, where you can actually make out pockets of iron-enriched, man, that's a bad glare, iron-enriched substrate, watermarks. No, the watermarks just show you that the TDS on that tank is higher than my tap water. My tap water doesn't leave watermarks, but that's all here. This is all sand, and it's just naturally the coarse pieces have gone to the top, the finer pieces plus mulm have gone towards the bottom, and something that loves iron has taken hold here. And this was the filterless tank, but I've popped an air stone in it to clear out the particulate matter, if you saw that. So the other dirty tank right now is this one, and this one's unique because these guys eat something off the glass all day, every day. They just munch on it. And they're good size Turkana jewel cichlids. They're big fishies, and they eat whatever that algae is off the glass, and they eat it quite a bit. If you can see, like, this is where they've grazed today. It's solid every day that I leave the light on. They wake up and then they'll eat, and then at night they eat again. But you can see it's green, so it's cyanobacteria of some sort, I would assume, or just a really rich algae, but it's kind of got that blue-green look to it. So I want to look at that under the microscope too. So I've grown that out a little bit, but none of them have had any bad side effects. They're just extremely algae rich. Nitrates are under 20 parts per million in there, which really surprised me. I thought it'd be off the charts as I've been watching it, but it hasn't been. So the other cool thing that's going on, trying not to make you guys as dizzy as my life, is that Bacopa monnieri blooms under this light very frequently, and it blooms this beautiful little cornflower blue flower. And if you look at it, it comes out of this thing right here. That little leaf that looks like a pocket, kind of. It opens up, and in one night, this flower comes out, and by 2 nights in, this is 2 nights in, it's wilted and gone. And it looks like some of the others finally have their little buds too. But it's kind of interesting to watch, and watch that change above water versus below water. And then the biotope tank, as you guys see it, I've also cultured to see what new algae looks like under. I mean, I'm sure it's biofilm. It's algae. It's cyanobacteria, normal bacteria, protozoas. You name it. I'm sure it's got a mix of it because I've used wood that's in other stuff. But I kind of am trying to hurry up its rich substrate cycling. I've got rock in there that is of a type that is in Myanmar, a quartz-based rock. And then I fudged it a little bit in that, this crypt is found in northern Myanmar and far western Myanmar, the red spiralis, so in India and Bangladesh. So I'm, that's fudging it a bit, but at least it's found in the country. I just like how it looks. I don't know how much they'll ding me on that, but I just thought that was interesting. And then the other thing, if you're into the microscope videos that I wanted to tell you about right away, is that I've also been keeping a little fish baby keeping cage, and we've got Medaka rice fish in here, and you can see the protein film. When you don't change the water, even when it's shared, and you don't have anything flowing, this is the result, is you get bacterial and fungal blooms of all the little nodes of poop and food and all that stuff. So that's another thing going on in here that I wanted to compare and contrast with like a totally clean tank, which I have a number of, whoa, sorry about that. We have a number of clean jars that get their water changed daily, plus some that have green water in them. So I'm just seeing what grows out the rice fish the fastest out of these different cultures of green water. Some of them have this old algae that's Marimo mossball that's just grown out of control. That's what's also all through here. And again, I'm saving samples of algae, and I hate to say it, but it happens to be on the front of the glass. I'm also even scraping the protein with a razor blade, the protein film and the junk off the glass. My goal is to wait a total of a month, and lucky you guys, I've actually been doing this for 2.5 weeks, so we only have a week and a half more. But I've been doing it for a while, and maybe you've noticed, but I've been trying to just not draw attention to it. I've still cleared off some sections of the glass so we can take a look at things. But we've got a whole bunch of little hatching containers with all sorts of little fish going in them right now, doing their thing. And so that's going on. Now let's take a look at what do you guys want to look at? We'll look at this for now. So I have something really special to show you guys that I'm going to make a whole video on because it's such a fascinating story, and you'll have to stay tuned to see that. But let's look at the mix of Caridina and Neocaridina shrimp while I catch up on these comments, you guys. So, wow, you guys are talking a lot. But we got a $5 super chat from Misfits Reptiles and Aquatics. Thank you so very much, sir. I appreciate that. Is that, sir? Wait, I guess I've never confirmed that. Now I feel like the worst online friend in the world. I know so many people on here, and I'm like, wait, is that a guy, a girl? What's their pronoun? People have assumed that. Hey, and Nick Garrity, I'm going to assume male. But hello and welcome to Lurker. Right on. And MRD 460076, welcome. Chicken tikka masala. I don't know what that's about, but I want that now. I haven't eaten all day. That would be delicious. Think about some breakfast here. Pete, what's going on down under? Screaming Fly Productions. I want to thank you so much for sending me money. Money, 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 money makes the world go round, the world go round. Money makes the world go round. Man, it's fogging up in here. Hold on. So, thank you so much for the PayPal donation. You did it, and you didn't even need the praise of the social group. I like using, I like super chatting because everyone gets to see how charitable and kind you are. But you did it out of the light of the limelight of the public. So, thank you so very much. I get a much bigger cut of it that way. Curler Kitty, or Killer Kitty, Curler Kitty, Killer Kitty. Oh wait, hello, welcome. Amazon Research Center for Ornamental Fish is not here, so oh well. Linda Worth, hello. Craig, hello. 3G. L'Oreal, is that how you say that? Hello, welcome. And Mark Sterlson, what's going on? Brian, okay, so guys, serious time. Flip it around on you. So Brian saw that my laptop is kaput. It may be able to be repaired, and there's a very nice gentleman by the name of James who is helping me out with fixing it, possibly, with like the official guide to taking apart a MacBook and soldering, cleaning, whatever needs to be done, and we'll give it a go. It's a 2015 that's already been repaired once. And I don't know what's up with it, but definitely the graphics board or the processor there's something messed up with the hardcore, not the software. So Brian was extremely kind, and apparently he's a crypto guy, into the mining and the tech. I won't go into more than that, but he said that he had a laptop that I could utilize, and that just blows me away. He's gonna keep things. That'll probably keep things because I can access Adobe to do thumbnails and all that stuff. Online through a PC or a Mac. Plus, most of my subscriptions to all the different other things are either linked through my Google account or whatnot. But Brian Levy, or Levy, sorry guys, it's Levy, right? Thank you so very much, man. Thank you. That's above and beyond to send me that. So apparently he's sending me, I think it's a laptop. So that's, I guess I didn't confirm that for sure, but that was heavily implied. And that is crazy. So thank you so much for that. And eventually I'll save up and I'll get another good editing one. I need to because I'm a graphic designer, so I'll need to. And everybody's always wanting files on MacBook stuff, even though it's all PSD, but sometimes the crossover is weird at print shops. So, verily, KC, what is going on? Hillbilly Aquatic, what's going on? And Grayacoids, what's up? Let's see here. Lori, hello. And let's see. Who else has gotten in here that I missed? Pansy American, what's up? And if you guys have anything you want to say to me, say it to my face. No, just type at The Secret History Living in Your Aquarium, or even at Alex helps sometimes. If I do have it in Susan Johnson, hello. David, hello. And if I didn't say it yet, Craig and Xanadudu and Fish Dreams and who else is in here? EJ, hello, how are you, my dear? S, what's up? Rusty Braids, what's up? Where was the poll? Oh, it's in the community tab. Don't worry about it. No one ever sees that. There's some people who seem to see everything on my channel and they're like, dude, lay off, shut up. And then there's most people who are like, I have no idea. Like, I didn't even know you were going live. Is that teal-colored nail polish? Yes, it is. You could be saying, is that teal-colored fingernail Polish? Also. Context is everything. I'm going to pretend like you said Polish. Polski. Oracle Lisa, what's going on? Mark, what's up? Your average fish keeper, what is going on? The Ronan Wren, hello. And then there is, can somebody throw this guy out? Dr. something or other of the Amazon whatever. He's just spamming links to educational stuff that everyone should check out. I can't stand it. Dare Bear, hello. It's kind of like a Care Bear. Easy E, I thought you were dead, but hello. Yeah, I love Myanmar, their ecosystems for sure, Run and Ren. Also, we have, who else do we have in here? Koro, what's up? See some people that we don't see in here all the time. That's great. I'm so glad to have you. Shanna Banana, not going to say it. Shanna, hello, how are you? Kay Halliday, hello. Insomnia has its benefits, one of which is hanging out with me. Man, your mental health it's teetering. James B, email. I did email you a picture of all the details yesterday. Sandy Doughty, I can never say it. Color Guppies, Vinay, what is going on? Alright, we're almost down at the bottom. Angie McGee, always like saying your name. Freaky Fish Lady, what's up, Holly? Oink Master Forever, or Oink Master Supreme Forever. Gotta get that right. Gotta get that. Rocky and Miles, hello. Good to see you. So we got lots of good folks in here. And have I almost gotten everyone? Theo's Wet Pets, what's up? Alex, been watching your videos for about a year now. Thank you so much. Learn more from your channel than any other. I do appreciate your work. Well, that is the biggest compliment I can get. Thank you so very much. And Mark, welcome to being a lurker. Check out the community tab. There's a lot of nerdy stuff there that you miss out on if you're not a member. If I could make memberships 99 cents, they'd be 99 cents. But it's $1.99 because it's the cheapest I can make it. With the thought being that if you want to become a member, it helps keep it all free for everyone else. Pays for my subscriptions to like JSTOR and like scholarly journal publications that kind of like are an amalgam of all the different ones and stuff that's usually behind paywalls. Technoala, what's up? Mr. Payne, hello. And where are we? You will say it right to my face. All right, Oink Master, I hear you. Rough weather in the Hudson Valley, huh? Matt Dowling, hello. Okay, cool. No worries, James. Same here. I totally hear you with the spam thing. They need to improve. AI needs to get better. I'm not worried about it taking over the world just yet. Jimmy P, always good to see you. Any group that would have me, I don't want to be a part of. It looks like we have a Mr. Mark Twain in the audience this evening. Gene L, you finally joined. Well, thank you so very much, Gene. If it is ever a hardship on anyone, if that $1.99 makes a difference somewhere else in your life, I know how things add up. I know about death by 1,000 cuts. Please, by all means, do not feel obligated ever. Just helps the channel out. Lets me spend more time doing the stuff that you guys seem to like. So that's that. Thank you so very much, though. And Killer Kitty, welcome! So many freaking lurker members tonight. I love it. You guys lurked right into my heart. And Samuel Corvu. Let's go with that. Good to see you. EJ, I kind of want to know what's inside the closet behind me. There's nothing. That's all my clothes. They're all in a pile on the floor. There's a basket of tannins. There's some bedding for guests. I'm actually sitting on the guest bed. We had a friend stay the night, and he was like, I want to sleep in the fish room. I want to sleep with the fishes. And he did. And he's a braver man than I, because I'll come in here and hang out for a while. But, yeah. Resent model and the year lost by... Okay, I'll resend it, yeah. It was a 2015, but the model, I had all the serial number and everything in the email. I'll send it again, though. I second the tie-dye. Well, thank you. I made this one this summer. This is actually a newer one. This isn't one of my really old ones. I was kidding at the beginning. But it's kind of got a spiral galaxy type thing going on. All right, so enough of my mug. No dead bodies hidden in the closet. I'm afraid not. Although, there are a couple cool things in the closet I can show you. I should close the door is what I should do because it's so unprofessional. But you know, you guys like to see into my life. So this was the tie I wore for my wedding, and I don't know why it's hanging there. I really don't. Oh no, I do. There's a funeral. But basically, there's a bunch of my art prints that were smeared that got put there, but my heart just couldn't throw them away. Ugh. If you guys were at Fishtoberfest, you guys know about these. See how some of them have like smudge marks and stuff? Some of them were okay, but they were just wavy and crease. It's a hippopotamus skull, acrylic. That's a Boba Fett if he was a zombie back when zombies were all over everything. More like a ghost than a zombie, really. And then there was a bear skull. Yeah, there's a Kodiak bear skull. And oh my goodness, I saw a super chat. Mark, thank you so much. Nail polish fund, I appreciate it. My nails appreciate it. And also my fingernails from looking grimy. My wife, I mean, look at my fingers. They're all busted up. And it's from working in the garden. It's from working in the tanks. It's from doing art stuff. And also probably just because I have lupus and my skin's kind of jacked up. But yeah, I've got some old lights here that the power bank on or the power strips on don't work right. So I've kind of got mishmash of parts plus an old Fluval, 2 twin stars, and a knockoff of a twin star. I've also got an extra air pump, an EpiPen in the fish room because it stays cooler in the closet. And then we've also got, in this crate, we've got a cube, an Aquarium cube tank. And then we've got more art supplies. Under the totes, we've got more art supplies, clothes that I'll never wear that I gave most of to Goodwill, but my wife was like, you need to keep a pair of X, Y, and Z. So I did that. And then more guest blankets. That's the mystery of the closet. There, it's all come out of the closet, y'all. So, what else is going on, everybody? Brandon, what's up? Hey, many streams ago, asked about pygmy cory and auto breeding setup. Update: babies of both are popping out. Right on. I'm so glad to hear that. I love it when people ask questions, they implement the answer or suggestions. You know, maybe they do a little bit of their own twist, a whole lot of their own work, and then they come back and they tell me, you know what, I had good results. That is one of the things that makes me the happiest. That, and when people tell me that they feel like they've learned something, man, I love that. Thanks, Rusty Braids, and Killer Kitty. Oh, you're talking to someone else. I'm not that fantastic. My life is a perpetual tie-dye state of existence. Anyone who does not agree is no friend to you or me. Correct. Yeah, you know, I don't like the tie-dye that's pre-printed. That stuff can go to hell. But, you know, tie-dye has been a part of my life, being in the Pacific Northwest. My parents kind of being ex-hippies. My mom, not so much. She was like a cheerleader who wore tie-dye. But my dad, he definitely was. He was like living in the woods and growing a beard in the 60s, you know. Got tired of the Haight-Ashbury and then and the Seattle scenes, and we went and moved to Southern California and Mexico in like 70. Bye, Dr. Pepper. It'll interrupt your speech. So yeah, but tie-dye, yes, it has a very fond place in my heart, and my wife also. My wardrobe needs some serious downsizing. It's one crate. The rest is art stuff. I'll show you my actual wardrobe. Who would do this? I might lose a signal. Hold on. It's a big cement wall on this addition to the house. This is my real, and my wife would kill me. This is my real closet. See, you can tell these are all my dresses, all my cardigans and coats, all my wool sweaters and spring and fall gear, and then that shelf, those are my pajamas and my underwear. Those are my work clothes. Those are a few more of my dress things. That is a tie-dye coat. And then there's a laundry basket of clean clothes that are just in a pile. That's all that I own clothes-wise, other than some coats and stuff that are in that tucked away closet, funeral stuff. My wife on the other hand, she lives for clothes. I don't think I've bought new clothes unless they're supporting a band or an aquatic thing. I don't think I bought new clothes in probably a decade if it's not under those headings. And I really mean that because my wife for Christmas every year gets me shoes and a hoodie, or a Carhartt and no shoes. That's my big gift. So yeah, drift and driftwood. What's going on? Looking for good LED budget light for plants. I'm looking at the new Night Crew Beams work and Higer going on 75-gallon low tech. So much to choose from. Can't decide. Any suggestions? I do. Let's go look at the room that would have the suggestions. So, out of all these tanks, most of them have Fluval 3.0s or something comparable on them through Fluval 2.0s. I did get a bunch of Fluval 2.0s a while back, and then I also got a bunch of these knockoff Twin Stars when I worked at Aquarium Zen when he redid the whole store. I got them each for like 20 bucks, and I think new they were like 60. So they're just some variety from somewhere in Asia. I'm sure they're from China. This is the Higer 957, and is it up all the way? I don't know that it's up all the way. Hold on. Wait, I went too far. Did it again. There we go. So that's up all the way. When it's up all the way, it actually grows algae in here for me. And this is my filterless tank. This thing was $52. I made a whole review that goes into the lumens, the par, like everything you could want to know about it, and graphs and comparisons to the Fluval 3.0. This is the 3.0 with the same level of duckweed and a few other red root floaters, but they're not by any means covering the whole top. This is all open water here. There's open water over there. And you can see this is a way brighter tank just right off the bat. Another one that is a Fluval 3.0 going up off that stick, and I know it's all dirty. It's because I'm going to scrape it and find out what's in this dirt of ours. It's probably just going to look like white powder and a few like mites. It's probably going to be really boring. But I'm also doing a fake dry season again on these guys. These Stiphodons, you can see the male, the female, the male, well now he's leaving, and the female. They're pairing off, and they're just totes adorbs. And her belly is so full of eggs on all the females in the tank right now. Look at this one. You can actually see the eggs weighing her down on her belly. She's used to being streamlined, and not so much. So let's see here. So the light I was going to mention, if you don't want to deal with actual lights from a fish store, this guy right here. Now this is a Cree LED, the diodes. That Cree is the biggest LED manufacturer in the world. And there's a lot of circuits on in this room, and so let's maybe go to another spot and plug it in to show you. But Cree LEDs. I had two of these on this tank for years. And I just made a clear piece of acrylic, put it over the top. And before that I had glass, but funny story about that, I broke it because I break everything. And I know it's a big mess in here. Let's see here. So let's take a look at this bad boy or girl. I suppose the light could be a girl. Let's see here. So, has a lot of features, them mostly being on and off. But those diodes, I mean, they'll light up a room very well. Let's see. I mean, they'll light up the closet down the hall. So, yeah, they're very, very bright. Let's see if we can show you guys kind of a comparison. So these are just normal house lights up here, and I think you can probably see how clear that is. But you can get these at Lowe's, and you can get them for $6,500 6,000, 7,000, 5,000, I think. But this is a 6,500 Kelvin, and it's 2,000 lumens, give or take. It's like 1,900 and some. But these lights are great, and you can buy any of the off brands as long as they have Cree LEDs. I mean, you don't have to, but Cree LEDs, these diodes, those big ones are the same as the big ones in these lights on the Fluval 3.0. Let's turn that down so we can actually look at it. So, well, come on, stop. There we go. So see those big white square ones next to the blue ones? Kind of hard to see with all the, there we go. All the splashes on it. But that is the same thing right here. And this was 2 for $29.99. 2 of these. They're supposed to go on your house. And get the waterproof ones or the outdoor ones. And yeah, so I got, it was either 2 for $30 or 1 for $17.99. And they came in 2-pack boxes also. Or 4-packs. You can get them in the workbench and tool kit section. And I love these things. I think they're friggin' great. So yeah, Silver Creek Aquarius, what's going on? Mark Sturlson, 99 watching, only 58 likes. Please smash that thumbs up and support the outstanding content. I don't know about outstanding tonight. Maybe out twiddling my thumbs. We can go with that. So the other thing I'm trying, because shrimp tanks leave so many little opponents for your shrimp to battle, for your baby shrimp to battle, that I'm trying to keep these little Medaka rice fish in here, and hopefully they'll eat the newborn planaria and the newborn scuds and seed shrimp. And I don't think that the shrimp eat as much algae per se, these Neocaridina and some of the Caridina anyways. I don't think these are major algae eaters. Hey, this guy's gonna lose, or this gal is gonna lose her exoskeleton very soon. See that crease? She's working on it. She's working on it. Work it, cover girl. Yeah, she's working on bending that shell so she can bust out of it. They'll bend it there and they'll bend it up at the shoulder. I just had a video called 4 Stages of Shrimp Pregnancy, in which you can actually see up clear, not during a live stream when the footage sucks. I don't know why it's so bad, like, but it's not even a bandwidth thing necessarily. It's like something with the compatibility of even like the colors are just less vivid. But also, if you guys missed it, I'm really happy with this freak of a guppy that I gave birth to. I gave birth to him. But he is one of my bell-bottom guppies mixed with one of Vinay's color guppy Jinga rubra females. And she gave birth to this one dude with this crazy dorsal fin that's like a perfect black dotted line. And then he looks like an Endler in every other way. Here's one of his brothers. Same genetics, but clearly whatever blonde, the blonde gene and the leucistic properties, they got passed on. So then I went to Aquarium Co-op, and somebody brought these in, which actually have a bit of green in them. So I need to look at them under the microscope, like in a little shot glass, basically, and get them to stand still. And then you can actually see what the primary color is versus the secondary color. And in guppies, you want blonde, or this kind of off yellow. Well, let me show you a better picture. Blonde, which is not albino. It is kind of a yellowish clear white color that allows the orange to come through, but they'll have blue eyes with that blonde gene. And so these are from Vinay over at Color Guppies. He sent me these a while back. So they're just chilling, doing their thing up in this tank, but I've taken the females and crossed them with my own other lines. And they are just exquisite under natural light. Under artificial light, you don't see all the iridescent colors and stuff. Well, these are actually Jinga sulpharis rather than Jinga rubra. But they're related to the Jinga rubra, and they have that same blonde gene. So the females look almost like a platinum. rather than you know, anything super yellow or anything, but you can see the yellow coming through in the tail. And that blonde is double recessive. So everybody in here, other than the one, or actually the two probably, um, have that double recessive. Now the guy with the crazy dotted dorsal fin right here, he may I don't know how that works for sure, but I'm wondering if he has a single recessive gene and it partially expressed, or if he's got the not at all, like he doesn't carry it. But in any case, I'm trying to cross in these more wild Endler genes, or at least that look. I'm sure they're pretty inbred with these females that are the blondes, so that we can get more orange and yellow tones, along with this kind of psychedelic pattern. It's not quite snakeskin, it's like dots and checkerboards. And then we'll work on crossing it back. But I love the double, the lyre tail. I love that look, but I've worked with it a lot. And so I am kind of excited about the bell-bottom guppies. I lied. Here's the third one that doesn't have the blonde gene. But I want to get my bell-bottom guppies to have that blonde gene. So right now I'm going through the process of letting them mate with her. And you can see her yellow really well right now. That's that blonde gene. So, alright guys, I definitely chat is rolling tonight, and I can't keep track of it all. But Matt Dowling, welcome to being a lurker with me and thee and everybody we like. So thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Go to the community tab and you can get all the little perks and peeks and sneaks and geeks and nerd outs that are there. Alan Tooth, what's going on, brother? Good to see you, buddy. Also, Checkzone or Chasezone. How do I pick the female? The female, she may carry the genes that the male has, and that's fine right now. This is the early stage of, look at, even her gravid spot is actually yellow, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, so I picked the female based on how yellow she is. Like when I stood back, if she had a lot of that yellow, it's basically being leucistic without being leucistic. So she can still have other genes and other colors laid over that basic pattern. And if you look over here, I kind of keep these guys a secret most of the time, but since we're talking about it, we have a few tanks. Let me move some stuff out of the way, get some of the plants and stuff away from the front where it all tends to want to grow. Oh, we kicked up some mulm there. That's not good. But look at all this algae. These guys need some more room, but they've got a bunch of babies right now in here, and they've got a whole lot of room on the back end compared to the front end on some of these tanks. But I'm about to do water top-offs tonight, later. But you can see all the babies in here. And these are the... Let's move this forward. It's going to look like the water's going to look murky, but these are the bell-bottom guppies here, and the females do not have that blonde gene. You can tell they're not that yellow base tone. They don't have the blue eyes either. But the males, some of them have expressed it off and on. So there's something in them that is tended to mutate towards that. And these are the coals. I'm not going to show you guys the what would you call it, the final ones. But the other thing that I bred in to, if you go back and watch my video on a new strain of guppies, you'll see all the stuff that I'm working on as of 6 months ago. But these guys, which are more Endler-based genes, and then they have a tuxedo guppy cross in there, a koi tuxedo cross, and there's one still that's from second generation koi tuxedo cross. The females of that, they can carry color. See, this is what those males turned out like, just totally rad. And on the Punnett Square, I knew they'd be little tie-dye freaks, but I didn't know how cool they would turn out. And I love just that like subtle, beautiful color tone that they have, these little males. But the females, finally are getting halos on their tail of pigmentation. So that's what I was really waiting for, especially with these guys. They're the ones that get the checkerboards on the end of their fins, the males here. And so I was waiting for that, and then some of them have like a dark line down the center, so that's what I was calling bell-bottom delta tails. But when I crossed them, I'm also getting these, so I'm going to have to cull them out. And the problem is, you have to wait until these guys are 6 months to a year old before you can decide, ooh, I don't want that one. So that's kind of a bummer. But anyway, so that's what I'm working on, is I'm trying to get more of that yellow in to the line, with that same psychedelic pattern on the body, the blue eyes, and then we want that checkerboard on the end of the bell-bottom tail, which is this guy here. This is the older one. This is one of my older ones that had the checkerboard, and his checkerboard has ceased to be, but he had one of the strongest checkerboards of any of the males, and they're in their own tanks up back behind the front tanks here, and I've got a couple back up there too. So yeah, so that's how I pick things. Dr. Anthony, secret history living in your aquarium. My goldfish stopped breeding. I was doing water changes every week on the 5-gallon tank. Any suggestions? I would swallow it with a glass of water, throw it back up, and retire that goldfish. No, I was I was doing water changes every week on a 5-gallon tank. Any suggestions? You know, was your goldfish swimming to the left or to the right? Because that's going to make all the difference. I don't need water parameters. I don't need any details. I just need to know, was it swimming to the left or to the right? Let's see here. But thank you so much for the super chat. Nur Muhammad, hey Alex, how should I arrange the sponges in a budget hang off the back filter? Should I put the sponge with the biggest pores first, then the finer ones, or near the out? So you want your coarsest filter to be where the water comes through first, and then get finer and finer and finer, which is polishing. And that way your big chunks get stuck in that sponge first. But if they're really big, they're going to hit that sponge and they're either going to break up or they're going to back up and come out. If it's fine right away, they're going to hit that like a brick wall and it's going to back up immediately. So if it'll save you time before you get a clog if you do coarser to finer. And that's actually how we sift almost everything in life, in chemistry, and in a lot of industries, is they go from coarse to fine. It just gets easier and easier because then there's not going to be any big sizes. You can kind of know where you're at. And then by the end, you should only be at like protozoas, archaea, bacteria, viruses, obviously, any sorts of little teeny life forms, and maybe even algae and things if you're using a polishing cloth. I can show you one of those. But before I do that, I want to jump around again, like crisscross. They'll make you jump. So I have a couple new fish that I got, and one of them is extremely special. Extremely special. If you guys know anything about this fish, you'll know what makes it extremely special immediately. Let me shine some light so you can see the finnage. Alright. So, there's 2 fish types in here. And this is the special one right here on the left. Can you guys see his fins? Let's see. Trying to get the light just right. There we go. So that is a Somfongzi rasbora, and here's the normal ones right next to him. And then here is, it actually looks as though it may be a female. It's still a bit young, it's hard to tell. But let me hold that up higher and see if we can see its tail. It has a veil tail on a rasbora. We spotted that at the shop after it was bagged up at Aquarium Zen, and the owner came in and he was like, I've never seen a rasbora. And that's Steve Waldron. He's an editor for Amazonas. He's been around. He was my aquascaping mentor, basically. But look at those long fins on that. So, just so you know how they look when they color up, because they're stressed in a bag right now. Let's see if we've got some anywhere in the tank that you guys can see. Those are gold tetras, but we're looking for the Samfong rasboras. There's only a couple in here. There's only 3 in this tank currently. I have the gold amber barbs, or amber barbs, depending on who you ask. They're African, and they're another one of the smallest species in the hobby. But the Samfong rasboras, I've done a species spotlight on them, and I'll tell you the short story right now, which is they are from Thailand, Bangkok proper, and they were thought to be completely extinct in the 1980s. Nobody had seen them since 76. And they were living in the streams and creeks that go right through the city, that have drainage ditches and things in the city for them, and where people were dumping their waste, their battery acid and their oil and gasoline, all sorts of nasty stuff in there. And because of that, lots of fish just disappeared in those tributaries. Well, it turns out that in 2006, I believe it was, these guys with the line on them, and by the way, these other guys with the bigger eyes and the gray stripes and the black stripes all the way to the tail, to the caudal peduncle and up their nose, those guys are green pencilfish. They're a newer to the hobby, at least for the US, a newer to the hobby fish. Not that common. Obviously, they've been around as long as it took them to evolve, but the green pencilfish is, they have like a metallic seafoam green color to them, and they're real pretty. But they happen to look, when they're stressed, just like the Samfong rasboras at a glance. But that long fin gene, so let me tell you, again, these little guys were down to 3. Every single Samfong rasbora that we have in captivity came through Aquarium Glaser in 2006, where they got 2 males and a female. Here is that fish with the long veil tail again. He's got a little bit of yellow in his caudal peduncle terminus there too. But he's got the high fin gene and the veil, or more flared, not just long, but it's also flared gene. So all of them came from those 3 fish. And they're a total comeback story, because the guy working at Aquarium Glaser happened to be, I think this is one of the really cool stories in the hobby's preservation history. They happened to be the grandson, he was the grandson of the guy who gave them their Latin name. And so he was aware of this fish, and what they came in on was, they came in on a shipment of glow light and lamb chop rasbora babies, as well as harlequin rasboras and exclamation point rasboras. They basically got a big old bag from Thailand of rasboras. Boy, this cobalt Stiphodon, I know we've got the algae growing on it on purpose, but boy, he's colored up for mating. His lady's a lucky lady tonight. He is very beautiful. By the way, from Aquatic Arts, discount codes in the description. Most of these fish are from Aquatic Arts, where I got them from somebody who went and collected them, is the other kind of interesting. It's usually where I get the interesting ones. But yeah, so he went and he bred them out because of that. And now they've reintroduced them, and they found a pocket of them also with a different phenotype existing in another part of Thailand. So pretty cool success story. And they were able to clean up just a few select chemicals, including the raw sewage going into the cities there. And it was a total comeback story. It was really a cool thing. So the other thing that I just want to show you real quick too is Petco. Petco, yeah. Petco was selling these, and I was in their dumpster accidentally, just trying to get out of their dumpster. And all of a sudden, I found this plant. It was half yellow and dying, and it was in a bag of goo. But it's a Nubius grafted onto a little suction cup and like zip tied on there, so it can stick to your glass. I love it. How ingenious. Don't really want to support them for it, but I definitely would love to see you guys do that. Also, if Alyssa Bentley is watching, come get your fish. My macrostoma are getting enormous. Your macrostoma are getting enormous. And they're not nice fish. They're very mean fish. And they have a very big mouth that can fit most of the other fish in this tank at this point. In fact, I'm trying to feed the other fish plenty so that they don't get any ideas. But the macrostomas, this is the smallest of them. And I would say he's pushing 2 inches. The females, let's see here. Oh, here they come together. There's the 2-incher. Here's the bigger one. There's an even bigger one too, though. But yeah, I mean, pinky, it's pushing the length of my pinky altogether. So come get your fish. I've grown them out since they were not even a 1/4 inch long from a friend who was growing them out in green water. And get this, they grew out completely without a filter. So that was kind of fun. All right, guys, so let me catch back up with the chat again. We're trying to do this a new way where I am cognizant of all y'all. So I'm going to scroll down and try not to take too long. Please show us the Ponegeton Crispus Red. Yeah, I will. Let's see here. Sarah J. Sieber, the Savannah Darter, hello. And Grant, what's up, dude? Garden of Eater, right on. Morwenna, hello. High fin, long fin, yeah, it is a, Steve let me in, yes. Steve let me be an apprentice, for 2 years, and then he said that I had become an artist, and there was only room for one artist. No, but Steve and I worked together, and he taught me a whole lot about fish, and I am eternally grateful of that, despite his very fishy nature, as far as I mean that in a... He's like a lot of fish people. He's an intense dude. He just got back from, I think, Costa Rica or Hawaii, and he brought back some cool stuff. He brought back a little dwarf cichlid that he's raising that's really neat. I'm real jealous of all that. So, hey, Alyssa is here. What's up? And Nola, what's up? Oh, man, Dr. Pepper, I know you're going to end me, but it's okay. Okay, so the other thing that happened when my wife leaves me, she's gone for like 4 days. This is what the kitchen ends up looking like. We got old Dr. Pepper cans. I'm trying to stick to 2 a day. That was from yesterday. This is today's. I still get one more. But we've got this 4.5 gallon. It's a jar, guys. It's a bowl. It's a jar, whatever. My mom brought me this one a week ago and said, hey, honey, could you put... Because I made her a hanging basket of plants, kind of like a piece of glass that was cut out in a basket kind of shape. And I did that. So she wanted more. And then I went and I bought this, and I was like, oh, that's not too bad. I think I got it for like $9.99 or something. It's like, okay, that's doable. Then I went and I was like, man, I need more for the Guppy project I'm always working on. And for my shrimps, I need more of these. And these are now being made. I just noticed this. In Mexico. Which is interesting. And they now have a plastic bottom. Which is interesting. They must save them a little bit of money. But the price jumped to $20. Most places, and with tax and everything, $23. and 68 cents. But so I bought one, and then I went over to Home Goods, which happens to be next door, and Hobby Lobby's on the other side, and I was like, oh, well, this is cheaper. I could easily put my guppies in here. Water changes are going to be a bit of a pain in the butt, but you know, there's that. Oh, and then the other thing that's going on that my wife would kill me for. So, but it's her fault for not watching the channel and calling and telling me to stop. So I picked every species of moss and a few types of lichen that were in our yard, and we're gonna look for tardigrades under the microscope, or I am at least alone tonight. That's what my life consists of. I'm also trying to wrap up. So I was doing a project for Dr. Anthony's wife and he. They at their center, which obviously the Amazon Research Center. I love it. I think it's an awesome place, and I would highly recommend you guys check it out. If you're ever planning a trip to there, I'm just hot. I'm gonna step outside for a minute. If you guys are ever planning a trip to go to the Amazon, check out Dr. Mazeral's place, the Amazon Research Center for Ornamental Fishes. Definitely check it out. Yeah. The other thing is, what was I gonna say? Oh, right. So I was going to explain. So we did a coloring book that's conservation oriented about not littering and burning down the Amazon, essentially, but it's for kids. And so I've been cartooning a little character, and then his wife wrote a story, like a kid's story, and so we're kind of going through editing that. And right now we're going to make an activities coloring book work booklet, but it's going to come with 4 crayons. So at first I was going to illustrate it for like American kids, but then I realized also with 4 coloring crayons you can only get so much detail. So then now I'm working on revising what scenes can be done, like if we can do word scrambles or mazes, things like that. So I'm doing the final touches on that, but problem was I had over half of it done, and you saw what happened to my computer. Everything else, luckily, all the other videos and research paper stuff, all that's backed up to the cloud, luckily now. It backs up weekly, but yeah, there's that. Let's see here. What did I miss? All right, guys. Dr. Anthony says, leucistic, lack of any dark pigments, only in the eyes, not albino. Albino have red eyes. Yes, leucistic have black eyes. Yep. And the ones that have the blonde gene have the blue eyes, which is how you can tell them apart from the leucistic usually. I think there is some exception to that. Love plastic bottoms, stops me from breaking them. Yeah, you know, I don't have a problem with it either. Water bears, tardigrades, yes. They're a cool little thing, a cool little creature that can survive anywhere. I know you all think I'm funny, but there is an aquascaping contest going on right now called Pack the Bowl. Yeah, pack your bowl, pack the bowl, whatever. What's it? Pack the bowl. Yes, and that is why I have those containers. If I didn't mention that, it is for the hashtag pack a bowl, pack your bowl, pack the bowl, pack a backpack, green eggs and ham. I will not pack a bowl, Sam. I am. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to best utilize that tall space. I mean, you could do pea puffers or something in there. I'd feel like they're too cramped. Like even 3 of them I'd feel bad about. So I'm trying to decide what I would want to put in there that can live a good life. And I always like to utilize benthic fish. Like maybe I could use like a little anchor catfish. You know, that would be cool. And then another like a few anchor catfish, and I was also thinking, since it's big enough around that like Corydora habrosus could do loops in it. They could circle and they go up and down. Usually they go up and down on the glass, but I'm wondering if you gave them a round tank, if they just go up all the way to the top like a corkscrew. So I'm kind of curious. I kind of want to fill up the tank with clean water and try throwing a few different fish in and just see how they move in that tank. but they'd have to be comfortable. So it's just kind of, that might take too much time. I don't know. Just a thought. Um, anyways, yeah, I heard, yeah, Jason or Degenerate, talking about it. Let's see here. I just spent the last 3 hours planting and trying to get my sand waterfall to work in my new 20-gallon setup. I finally got it working, and now I have to rebuild part of it. Oh. Well, those sand waterfalls are pretty cool. They clog pretty easily or run out of sand because it's all been, like, flowing slowly to one side. But they're really cool, and they're easy to, like, reset in that sense. Pretty cool that way. Let's see here. Black eyes like a doll's eyes. Yes, yes. Silver Creek Aquarius shade and sponge should be okay. The heat wave we've had has been a good refresher course on keeping them cool for the summer. During the beginning of spring, I told my friend in Africa we've stole their climate this season. Yes, I know. It's been cold here. Let's see. A mod will have to do it if do it, Bunny, if Alex is okay with it. What am I doing? I missed what I'm okay with. Hold on. I'm gonna keep reading and see if I can see it. Just saw the bowl reference. If I do a bowl aquascape, might keep a guppy fry. Yeah, a guppy fry or Medaka fry. I think that would work well. Green equals member. Liquid Zoo, are you just saying you need a mod membership? Hold on, I think I can do that. I'm not in StreamYard tonight, so let's see if it'll let me. It usually does. Come on. Let me point this way and see if that makes a difference. Live chat, maybe? Maybe that's the difference. Yeah, 1 gallon pickle jar would work fine. Just make sure you get the acidity out of it, and the pickles. Unless you want a bunch of vinegar eels in it. Yeah, I mean, I think if anything, you could make a nice riparium and place a fish in it for a photo or something if you're worried about the size. You could easily put a few endlers in it for a photo and then just not keep them in there long term, or have young fish growing out that don't poop a whole lot and that are going to be picking at the algae, like little live bears or rice fish, or a lot of the little cyprinids or characins. Yeah, man, it won't let me make you a mod. Who else is a mod right now that could post a link for me? Well, any mods, if you can post a link for me to the Pack a Bowl contest, it's is it at your website right now, Liquid Zoo? Is it at the fishfam.link site, or does it have its own website also? Thank you, Dragon Lair. I think he linked it. I think that's it. So if you want to do the aquascaping contest with a fishbowl, check it out at thank you. Yeah, under the news. But also check out fishfam.link, because Liquid Zoo and that whole crew out there in the middle of the country, they really do a great job of organizing the FishFam info content and putting what time streams are on, and all that kind of stuff is on that website, events, all that kind of thing. 10 by 2 by 4 fund. Thank you, Freaky Fish Lady. I appreciate it. Reef the sea forever. What a great question. Do snails bring diseases? Yes. Long answer, yes. Short answer, yes. Longer answer, yes, but not most of the time. And it's mostly like nematodes and protists that happen to also like to be, they're kind of carriers. They're vectors for a lot of things. And they can also be vectors for archaea, viruses, bacteria. That being said, I would say tropical snails are going to be the worst. um, like in the number of bacteria, and maybe the doc can back me up on this one. I know that like warm water Vibrio is becoming an issue. I've had an issue with that, where my plecos ate pond snails. Don't know where they came from, but they ended up definitely. It was a flesh-eating bacteria, and it's what's in shellfish in shellfish poisoning, and yeah, exactly. So it has to be specifically, like Dr. Anthony just said. Oh yes, snails and disease. Hard to get the diseases from the snails in the aquarium though. Yeah. So most of the time they stay contained, but if you have a fish like a puffer or a loach, or in my case a lemon ancestris, that decides to chomp down on a snail that does have a sizable colony of bacteria growing on it. In the case that was cultured at UW, because I was astonished. It was not even 24 hours, and there were bloody lesions on the side of all the large fish in the tank. About 4 years ago, you can go watch the video, and it's like all my fish are dying. It's some dramatic title like that. And I literally threw away those tanks. I did not ever use them again. They told me to bleach them twice. But they said that it was a Vibrio that's normally a cold water thing, that now they're starting to see it in warm water more. And that it could be that somebody had a pond or tub and in their plants they got snails on that. And it's usually salt water too. But apparently it's showing up in aquaculture more and more. And that was several years ago, so I don't know. And I know that like ick is getting more resistant to warm water. So, and Dr. Anthony just gave a great talk today on his channel. That was it was on the Amazon Research Center for Ornamental Fishes channel. This morning he did a live stream and he talked about probiotics, and how a lot of the probiotics are actually basically vectors for superbugs. The products that are being sold as probiotic foods. Some of them didn't contain any probiotics. Others seemed more inconclusive, but none of them seemed to be hitting it out of the park from the studies done. So yeah. Also, this tank, it's interesting how much this is struggling. The wisteria just does not want to become an immersed plant in this tank. The Anubias sure does, though. This Anubias is like, set me free, Fraser-I. And the lovely Hygrophila polysperma, which is this one, looks prettier underwater. It's coming up. The Rotalas are coming up. Finally, also, this is another one I've wanted to happen for 2 or 3 years since planning this tank's original setup. Is the ferns. They're finally stopped just following underneath the top of the tank, and now they're starting to come out. So we got Bulbitis hedulata, mini and large or normal, both starting to coil up out. And what's cool about that is when it coils up out of the tank, the plants, it's like they're being injected by crazy steroids, because now they're getting all the CO2 they want, especially indoors. I mean, they just need a trace amount. They can siphon as much of that as they want off, and then they can also use the light so much better than water being in the way. It's like every 6 inches or something like that, light loses half of its intensity and photosynthetic ability. So think about that. I mean, in 6 inches, so it's like, boom, say you had 100% intensity, you lose it down to 50%, 25%, 12.5%, boom, 7.25%, all the way at the base of just a deep tank. So you lose that energy quick with water. Water is not good for light. So they benefit from coming up. And you can see this water lettuce has gone nuts. And this is normal water lettuce, but it's also gone nuts. Oh, and you guys wanted to see the, or somebody did, wanted to see the Potamogeton crispus, which this is the red, and it's flowered several times. I'm really hoping, let's clear off some of this. The other thing is with highlight, Sawassertong does some cool things. It forms into these little shrubs, and even without CO2, it'll do that. But CO2 helps. And also my Potamogeton gayi is another plant that I love, and I'm always telling people, oh, check out this plant. It's so overlooked. The highlight version of it is beautiful. It's pink and bronze and green, and then it's got kind of like some weird little tiger stripe striations on it. Let's see if we can get that to focus. Let's pull it out of the light a little bit more. And it also has then gold down the center in some cases and lime green in others. And then some leaves are pretty green, like a Kelly green or an apple green anyways. The stem starts to turn orange or red in high light. It's a really cool plant, and it grows evenly out of either side, alternating. So like left, right, left, right, left, right is where the nodes come from. And it stays in basically a 2D plane. So it's always going to stay left, right, left, right, left, right. It's not going to like twist and twirl on you in a pattern like some do to look bushy. Like this is Rotala inni. And then we've got like Mayaka red over here, which looks like the Rotala inni pretty much. But yeah, this is Nicaea. This just popped up the last few days after trimming everything back. Nicaea triflorata, maybe? Triflora, I think. But this stuff is really hard to grow in my other tanks. It just doesn't want to grow. And it's doing really well randomly now that I've cleared everything off. Some of the red Godzilla mini boosts is doing pretty good over here. The names of boosts are just a joke. I don't know what the hell it really is. It's probably some Kendang red, just like everything else. Or Cathernea. But this thing, it looks really beat up sometimes. And it's not a nutrient deficiency in the case of this. What it is it's the snails clean algae off of an Aponogeton type plant. And because you can see this leaf was fine that was kind of tucked away. But the ones that are under the light all day, they're very, very fragile. And the snails and the plecos will then munch on them, and it just falls apart. And you can actually see the actual little cell wall sections on this plant pretty easily, just with the naked eye. It's kind of cool, a little veinous sections. And then I've got more Ludwigia. This one is Ludwigia Rubens. Is that the one it is? Rubris. And is real bright purple on one side, and then now it's starting to turn a nice peach and orange under the highlight. Highlight can do some fun things to plants, even without CO2. Over here, this tank is basically a bog again, and I move all this stuff out of the way. Actually, there's you can see that nitrates are low because the Rotala or the red root floater is blood red. And that's kind of my indicator. In my waters, the way my water is if the TDS goes over around 120, 130, and the nitrates go up, that's how I know the red root floaters lose all their color in my tanks. They go back to green. But in here, we've got like Limnophilia aromatica with the nice purple undertone. We got Bacopa colorata. We got some little quarries in here that have spawned not too long ago. And then, let's see here. And then over here, what I did notice, and I'm going to look at it under the microscope, and I'm going to try to get footage of it because this is the kind of weirdo I am, is we've got bladderwort, which is a carnivorous little plant. And it has a kind of a little stronghold in this tank where I've tried to get it out of there so many times, but it's in the filter floss that's in the plenum in this tank. So if you see here, This tank has a 9-inch deep substrate all the way down to the bottom here. Well, it's also got hollow chambers and a stone that I can move that's like a little fort. And that's what the stone right here is. But because of that, I think the bladderwort has grown all back in there. And it's time to trim this tank, no doubt, and to get rid of all this crazy duckweed, to add water. I know there's a lot, it needs a lot of maintenance. But again, I'm still limited to how much I can lift and twist and move, and it just really sucks. Since the spine surgery, I'm still limited, and I hate it because I just want to, like, you know, strong arm it and get all this crap done that I need to do around here. So yeah. Let's see here. I've been pulling bladderwort from my 40 breeder all week. Sorry, Geek Boy, that is a bummer. By the way, if y'all have fish and chickens, chickens love frogbit and duckweed. It's a great supplemental food source. Yeah, when I lived, let's call it, with some hippies, we used to get duckweed. We'd get, like, you know, this, and we'd get thick clumps of it, especially growing outside in the summer. But we had greenhouse, and we'd grow duckweed, and we would collect it, and we would blend it into a little thing with some corn and other whatever scraps we had. But we would feed that to the chickens, and we would put it into this little pellet presser thing that you cranked. It was from the turn of the century, and it had a hopper, and you put whatever you want in the hopper, and then someone with a stick would push it through, and it would, like, mash it, and it would put out these little sod type pellets that also we could feed tilapia or perch or whatever we were growing. So in the main pond that was 300 gallons, we watered the strawberries and everything in the greenhouse with that. And then we also had, like, microgreens and other stuff. And we had chickens outside and goats, and they all ate this because by weight, once dehydrated, it's 51. You can, in like good cases, it's 51% protein by weight, and then like 20% fiber or something by weight. The duckweed. So for aquaculture, it's killer. Now, you know, a lot of people have been starting to ask me questions about aquaculturing, and it's been about 15 years since I did it. But when I was in college, we had a pretty much fully functional farm where several people lived completely off the grid on this farm, off of aquaculture, aquaponics, aeroponics. You know, we had generators that you could power by people, by water. We had all sorts of gadgets set up, and it was kind of like a testing ground for all sorts of different, I guess, off the grid type stuff. And I got tired of living with 30 people and left. But you know, there's that. By the way, look at this Anubias cophifolia, getting huge, looking pretty. So yeah, but I've thought about revisiting it, and believe it or not, my buddy David, who's been on this channel a few years ago, he actually still owns the property, which is an old church and a couple acres. And he still owns the property, and he was in college, you know, college with me. He was a little older, and he was a permaculture, what was it, ecology and permacultural studies major. And he has his PhD in ecology, permaculture, some deviation of that. And he's actually he's consulted for Bhutan and Nepal, and met their agricultural ministers and stuff, and worked with them coming up with plans for high altitude, low resource, water resource, low you know, temperature, and how to utilize, like, the valleys and the steppes for aquaculture, coming up with the plan. So he's a cool guy, cool story. And he's just kind of quiet and shy on live streams. But I'll have to have him on the channel or go up and visit their farm again sometime soon. That's up in Bellingham, Washington. And there are so many places like that up there. It is crazy. We used to have concerts at that house. And not only did we brew our own brew, grow our own grow, but we had a PA system and all these speakers, and you had to ride a bike. We had to have 3 or 4 people riding bikes for big concerts, and we had old car amps mounted to a board, and in like a little what was it? A little alternator and in some other thing, maybe an invert. I can't remember what all they had set up to run the speakers, because they were the high power speakers. But needless to say, we'd have concerts and we would have to have someone pedaling nonstop, or the lights and the sound would die. But those were some good times. Learned a lot. Dr. Anthony says, if you have bladder work, you almost have to nuke everything, get all new everything, and start over. Wow, really, huh? It's that bad, Alyssa? Yeah, it is pretty bad. I have sat there meticulously, and I pulled it out of a 40 breeder once, and it came back for months and months, but finally, about a year later, I stopped it. I mean, you basically have to get rid of all the little creatures that exist when you look under a microscope, which means you've got a tank that's not very healthy or balanced or seasoned at all. Hold on, guys. I need a Dr. Pepper. I'm going for number 2. You guys have taken it out of me. But Dr. Anthony says, I'm teaching a sustainable aquaculture course in the fall at my university. He didn't say my, but he did say it just like that. Let's see here. I dry duckweed and feed it to my tortoises. Right on, Patrick. I didn't know that. I mean, that makes sense. Turtles eat crazy stuff. I bet pigs would eat it too. Yeah, goldfish love it. And I'm babysitting a Shodentai puffer right now. He's giving me a reason to scrape all my snails, trying to get the little dude fat. Right on. Right on, Alyssa. Do fish and shrimp also eat frog bit? Some fish, a lot of carp. Just stop pedaling to skip a song. I like it. Yes, Chance, totally. I'm in school now for agronomy. I don't know that one. Agronomy? Like agricultural economy? I don't know. Didn't know you had an interest in sustainable agriculture, off-grid living, etc. Yes. I mean, like I said, I lived off the grid for over a year. We were very far left, and how do I put this? We weren't left alone by the local authorities in the area we were in. If you didn't have a bunch of firearms and things, you weren't the right kind of off the gridder in that area. And needless to say, there were a few firearms, but we had the DEA, the ATF, FBI, Homeland Security, Border Security, because Bellingham, Washington, look for a little town called Sumas north of it, and go out into the woods from there. And that's where I was. But yeah, right after 9/11, that was not the time to be off the grid type. Now it's like the cool 3%er, like last guy in charge. You know, lots of people want to be playing with their paracord and their off the grid crap, but it drives me nuts when people are like, "Oh, what's your everyday carry? What's your this? What's your that?" And I'm like, "What's your soil utilization? How do you purify water long term?" I mean, whatever. If Dr. Pepper sponsors you, no more nail polish. They'll probably give me red nail polish, red metallic nail polish. It's funny how, you know, sometimes I just like to be a son of a gun, and I do things just to see how people respond. And it's funny. It's funny what it elicits in people. Just such a little thing. Let's see here. I need some duckweed. I have a tub outside and I want to grow it to feed my goldfish. Please come take all my duckweed. I can see chats holding it down with this conversation on their own. But yeah, I actually have lost a lot of subscribers over the years over nail polish, which cracks me up. Um, Not that it should matter if I were straight or gay or something in between or uh, asexual or whatever. Not that that has anything to do with nail polish, but culturally it does in our society. I'll give you that. There is some unspoken thing, um, but I just don't care. I don't care what you think. My masculinity has more to do with being a compassionate, caring person who takes care of my family and defends, the things I care about, not how I look or what I wear. If I'm bored and I feel like painting my nails, I'll do it. Um, let's see here. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate that some of you. Oh, there's heat sensitive nail polish. That's pretty cool. Um, so yeah, and the funny thing is too, people always think they have me pinned, and then they go shooting with me. I hope that informs you. But yeah, so half of my college age customers wear nail polish. Oh, male. I was gonna say, yeah, I know, Patrick. That's kind of how it works. Anyways, yeah, I'm just a weird person. I will do lots of weird things. You gotta have fun in life, guys. Don't take anything too seriously. Unless it's magnet balls. That channel still driving me insane that we found that channel, that channel exists. Um guys, I'm at a bit of a loss for where to go, what to talk about. Does anybody have any other questions that they need fixed? Because right now I'm kind of doing the wandering POV lost vlogger thing. I have a bunch of videos that I know I want to film and work on, but they all require a tripod and filling a vase with rocks and washing gravel. None of it's fun live. But I think I am going to live stream at 3 a.m. because it's probably going to be one of those nights. I got a bunch of stuff I got to do, including outlining the little girl's cartoon. Well, it's a little girl in a cartoon for both male and female children that are in the Amazon and part of an educational program at Dr. Anthony's Aquarium that's open to the public. For all those people living in Iquitos, that, just like in America, we may not think that there's anything cool or exotic about our rivers, but our rivers are beautiful and incredible. I mean, Alabama, they call it the American Amazon, the watersheds that run through Alabama, the Cahaba. Incredible stuff. I'd love to get down there and search for the fish there. Any tips for breeding fish in a community tank? Lots of cover. So much cover. So much cover that the fish can barely move. And, that sometimes limits other things, but also rock hides, rock piles. You're going to need mulch probably on the bottom of the tank so that there's a food source, because it just becomes non-feasible to really be feeding babies unless you're spot feeding them with maybe a pipette or a turkey baster. But generally, if you're growing multiple species in an aquarium, they need to either be species that their parents defend them for a while, like cichlids. Sometimes batis do that. There's a number of species that will do that. Sunfish, sticklebacks, but that's pretty limited in most of those species. Of course, cichlids are the gold standard. And then beyond that, you need to have hiding places and food sources for them, because you can't really ask them to come out. You can't really feed them once a day and the babies will come out. They need to have that food source built into the community tank. And if they survive, they survive. That's kind of like it. What plumbing do you have in your new house? I have old plumbing from the 1940s, 1949 in this house. Alyssa, unfortunately, I do have plastic down to this sink now because we paid for it, but everything's a little bit jacked up. It's not the asbestos compressed concrete line stuff that they used in a lot of the houses in this area. It's some copper and then mostly the iron, the big old heavy pipe with, you know, divots in the in the metal. Trying to get these forktails to breed heavily planted all other small peaceful fish. Yeah, so their babies are extremely teeny. Those forcatas, if you're talking about the pseudomcgill forktails, and they'll hang out right at the top, and they don't know to stay in like one spot. They just cruise wherever. And they usually happen to spawn in like a flooded jungle or stream that has like lots of grass. So they'll go to like half an inch to an inch of water a lot of times and just cruise and eat algae and little critters in the water. Whereas the rest of the day, you know, the bigger fish come back in at night, but the rest of the day, the bigger fish go out and they look for bigger food. So there's that. And in a tank, they're really just cruising around the top and they just get nailed time after time. They are so small, though, a lot of those fish that you're thinking of like that give birth with eggs and they're scatterers. Their babies, a lot of times when I spawn them, what I'll do is I'll use a jar or a little tank. And as long as the room is warm enough, 75, 74 degrees, I'll just leave that jar there and with I'll pour tank water into it and a little bit of like clean water or distilled or RO water, and then I'll put the adults in there either with a mop or a moss or something. Let them do their thing. I never feed in there unless it's live food that I can watch them consume, like baby brine shrimp or something. And then when that's done, the next morning or maybe 2 mornings, 3 mornings, depending on what it is, I'll take the parents out of there immediately. You can use completely RO water, distilled water. You can get pH swings and things like that. A lot of people, I mean, I would suggest you set up the tank, have it sitting for a couple weeks, ideally, before you put them in it. But you got to do what you got to do. Some people are always playing musical fish, and yeah. Why did my thick glass cookie jars crack? I had two of them with babies, both cracked for some reason. I don't know, not a big temperature change? I don't know. Did they get down to freezing? That's the only thing I could think of. George, I'm up late tonight. Yeah, hang out with my friends. Geek Boy, Java Moss will help them hide. Yes, Java Moss. Um, Yeah, Patrick, I need to come visit you. I know you're right by the Cahaba River for sure. Um, I've managed the community. Found my keyhole cichlid on the floor this morning. Put it back in the tank, but it's still on its side. Should I give it some more time? Yeah, give. I mean, if it's not moving at all, no, probably it's gone. But if it's still twitching and moving, yeah, it could be that its air bladder or something is collapsed or something along those lines. So yeah, I mean, what I do if a fish falls on the floor and it's been out some time, I will take a fish by the tail and pull it backwards through the water to get water through its gills, as long as its gills are oriented that way. And then I'll put it in a tank with um, something that not necessarily an air stone that will help somewhat oxygenate it and move water, but more so like a hang off the back filter or a pump where water goes up and then splashes back down. That's the best, like a power head pointing slightly up out of the water so it leaves the surface of the water, breaks the surface tension. That'll pump the most energy or oxygen back in, and then you'll be able to get more oxygen into the lungs of them. The other thing is then they also have dry areas. So that's when things with aloe vera and tannins also come in handy. So between the aloe vera and leaf tannins, almond leaves or catappa leaves or alder cones, however you want to do it, that helps. Plus dropping the pH, which that will also do, is going to limit the amount of bacterial growth that is possible, and it's going to make nitrates and nitrites, the ammonia and ammonium, all less deadly if the pH is like in the high sixes or low sevens rather than at 8.0 or something, depending on where your pH is. So there's multiple reasons for those things, but they all help in several ways. Especially if your fish has gotten dried out and those little capillaries and blood vessels have started to crack in the gills. It's designed to get it oxygen. So then it has this problem of it's got these scabs and cuts and blisters, lesions on the little things that are like little cilia that are designed to help absorb air. So you need to get those hydrated, and with the aloe vera and things, that gets their slime coat and everything going again. Now, aloe vera is a little bit overrated in my opinion, but some tannins and studies have really shown to be helpful. Brandon says, have you ever noticed that pygmy cory fry get stuck and die underneath Fluval stratum? Any solutions? I have noticed that with several fry. And I don't know the solution other than using a glass bottom tank. I have seen that happen with a lot of things, honestly, where I've seen baby fish or even adult fish freak out and they jam themselves in next to a heater or next to a suction cup, the edge of it and the glass. And I've seen them break their necks or just wedge themselves in to the point where I don't think they can open their gills enough to breathe. And that's a bummer, but I don't know the answer other than don't scare them and don't have predatory fish that do scare them. Also, don't feed them such fine food that it's going to settle down into the cracks in between that. Maybe a feeding dish would help if you're finding it's happening more than, once in a rare while. Canister filters are worth it, I think, on big tanks. It just keeps things out of sight, out of mind, less of the algae on the spillway, which some people don't like. It's up to you. And it allows you to have, a heater or something else, a sump. It allows you to kind of customize your system oftentimes. Whereas if you have a hang off the back filter, what you get is what you get and it's right there. Sponge filter, same kind of deal. Plus it takes up room in the tank. So I would say, for a big show community tank, if you want to look sleek, if it's kind of a piece of furniture and a like talking piece in your house, then yeah, like conversation piece, then sure. I would say canister filters are pretty good. But they're really just big sponge filters or hang off the back filter kind of combined and then hidden under the tank. Wait till they go on sale. Nur Mohammed says, my Rasbora and white clouds keep gather at one side. One other side has a fan blowing on the water. Does this cause this behavior? It sounds like they're tired. If they're all avoiding the fan or the current, I would probably turn that off. Rasboras don't really need that, and white clouds, they are from creeks and like little flooded creek areas, but they're not particularly like they don't need a lot of oxygen content in the water either, or need to be swimming nonstop. Some of your Danio species, they would appreciate that. All your like garas and a lot of loaches and catfish kind of dig that. But Rasboras for the most part don't need that. Maybe take it out and see how they act. All right, let's see here. Sarah J. Sieber. I recently got another batch of ghost shrimp and have a few spaghetti worms parasites in them. Have you come across this? Are there any treatments? Yeah, they're just detritus worms. They just grow because they eat the chitin and the bacteria and the stuff that the shrimp drop and sift through and miss. They're kind of like the shrimp for shrimp. And fish will eat them like crazy. So if you can find any small little fish, like a least killifish or a scarlet batis, even putting them in there for a few days, like when you don't have a bunch of babies or something, baby shrimp, they'll go through and they'll eat a lot of it. But if you need to, you can definitely use dewormer to kill them. Levamisole is the strongest. Fenbendazole or flubendazole are more like anti-parasitic and some wormy things. I'm not sure if those are true worms or not. If Dr. Anthony's here, maybe he knows. But I don't recall what they are. I know planaria are extra tricky, and like just dewormer doesn't always kill them. Like in doses that won't definitely kill your shrimp too. So that's just something to factor in. Misfit says, has there been any new information, techniques, equipment development recently regarding foam fractionation, specifically in freshwater? Not that I've seen. There might be in waste management, but I have not seen much, especially in the hobby. I haven't seen anything like skimmers, protein skimmers, or anything like that that's done anything new. But there could be. I just haven't heard of it. I'm sure someone's tinkering with it, but saltwater might actually be the place to ask because they're probably going to be working in tandem with saltwater people. Would be my guess. Do you need a specific type of light bulb to grow low to medium light plants? If no, what should I look for in a bulb? You don't need a specific light bulb. These days, get an LED. It's going to save you 4 to 8 times the energy probably. And what you're going to look for is the number of lumens or par. That's your intensity. If you can, usually they list your lumens. If you have a lumens up to around 1,000, anything over 800 to 1,000 will grow your low light plants fine. And it depends on how deep the water is. So every 6 inches, you lose half your lumens, half your intensity of light. And it's a rough estimate. It's actually an exponential thing. But so roughly, if you have a 2-foot deep tank, you're going to need something like 3,000 lumens, something pretty strong. But what I would recommend is getting an LED floodlight and look for Google Cree LED, CREE LED. It can be any brand after that, but they're the ones who make the diodes. There's only about 7 or 8 companies that make almost 90% of the diodes in the world for all things that need LED diodes. And Cree is one of the ones that makes them for illuminating stuff, for floodlights, for flashlights, for the Fluval 3.0, for the Odyssey, for beams work. And they make all different grades of them too. But that one is probably your best bet. Looking for a Cree. Let's see here. Gloria says, hey, Alex, my 10-gallon, 2-year-old shrimp tank is getting infested with what appears to be Daphnia. Is that anything to worry about? If they're actually Daphnia, it just means that they're keeping your algae in check, probably. They're eating your algae. So what I would do is handle your algae bloom. Maybe reduce the amount of hours of light. Maybe reduce your nitrates. I have a video called Why Are My Nitrates Still So High? And it really addresses nitrates, algae in low and medium light tanks. Like when you don't have like a crazy bloom of it or anything, but you're just kind of fighting this uphill battle slowly with issues. That might help illuminate things. But I would go at the root rather than the symptoms probably, and try to reduce the amount of light or the intensity of light. But the thing is, you want really strong intensity light, nutrients, CO2, all that. You want as much of that as you can in short, concentrated amounts to get rid of algae generally, so that the plants can utilize it. Whereas the algae can utilize it with a light across the room. If I have this jar here, this jar right here behind me, and it's in the windowsill, it's going to get light all day long, and because of that, algae is going to grow, and the plants are only going to grow when the light's directly on it, rather than that ambient light for 14 hours in the summer or 15 hours. Same is true with ambient light in your house. So really you want to try to cut off that ambient light and keep it dark when the light's not on. Because only when the light's on are your plants able to process the nutrients, the phosphates and things like that are really helping your system. Otherwise, your algae can outcompete that. My nearite snail burrowed into the substrate. Is that okay? It's been there for about a day. That's kind of weird. I don't usually see nearite snails do that. You don't have a cappuccino snail or something like that? It's probably okay. He's probably going after some food or diatom algae or cyanobacteria that's growing on the glass. But, I mean, if you're concerned, you could always pick him up and set him on a rock or see if he'll stick to the glass. I have a whole video on is my snail alive or dead that I'll let you reference if you need more details. Usually you'll smell it. Homegrown Aquatics, right on, you made it. Glad you made it. You rock. All right, let's see here. Atkins, what's going on, Ian? Just got home. Hey, it's all good, man. Uh, can you put an aloe plant in your tank? You can. It's not going to grow underwater, but they will grow immersed for quite some time. They'll eventually rot out and die, but I've had them last like 6 months in the past. As a kid, I did it actually. Yeah. Um, it will definitely end up creating more bioavailable debris, and that will turn to ammonia, nitrates, and nitrites eventually. So you want to make sure you have ample filtration and water movement if you're going to put immersed plants that aren't truly aquatic in there. But I mean, it does okay. Oh, and if I scroll down, Dragon Lair says no, it will rot quickly. Yeah, sometimes it'll rot in like a month, a couple weeks. Sometimes it'll last, like I said, I've had them last 4 or 5 months, but then they rot. Theo's Wet Pets. Alex, have you ever been into keeping large cichlids? Oh, nice. You've been collecting minnows and dace in Alabama. Right on. I'm jealous of the minnows and dace. I love big cichlids. I think they're beautiful. I think they're cool. I've never had the space. We just, my wife and I, we've saved for 10 years basically. Since we've known each other, we've been saving. And we saved up and we got this 2-bedroom, 920 square foot house. And that 1 bedroom is my fish room. Plus we've got two aquariums in here. But I don't have room for big tanks really. I could have like 2 big tanks. And this is the first time that that's ever true. Before this, we've always lived in apartments on like the 4th floor or and usually like 750 square feet. Seattle's super expensive, super small spots. In college, I lived in a town that was cheaper, and we also lived on a farm, but we didn't live on the grid for part of that time. So I only kept non-heated fish while I was there, and guppies. I kept that kind of stuff too. Let's see here. Yellowstone. Oh, Misfits, thank you so much. Loving the stream tonight. Not saying I don't love them all, but this one has been really nice. Well, thank you so very much, Misfits, Reptiles, and Aquatics. I really appreciate that. Thank you. How long do I feed angelfish fry baby food? Wait, baby fry food. They're little hungry hippos. Yeah, they are. It depends on who you ask. A lot of people with automatic water change systems and like overflow ports and like systems that keep the water moving will say like have an auto feeder and feed them 15 times a day, like Dean's Fish or Corey Aquarium Co-op. Like they've got it set up to churn out like very hardy fish that are eating all the time. And they pretty much give them a steady trickle, like every hour or 2 hours, they give them a little bit of fry food. First of all, a fish doesn't need to eat, like most fish that have egg sacs, they don't need to eat for 3 to 5 days, depending on when they hatch and how big their egg sac is. They won't. Then they'll need to eat like paramecium or something very small. Maybe you could use artificial golden pearls, they're called. You can look up buying those from like Brine Shrimp Direct. And that's usually like a 2 to 3 week phase when they're free swimming and their parents are watching them closely. But if you have a tank that's seasoned, that's over a year old pretty much, or older, they're going to find little food in there. Watch my microscope episode. You'll see all the life that's in a tank that's over, say, a year old-ish. Somewhere between 6 months and 18 months is when it kind of just blossoms into a crazy ecosystem. But it's after that grow out period when they've reached that kind of 1/4 inch size and they're not eating the microscopic foods or paramecium, vinegar eels, white worms, when they're starting to eat the baby brine shrimp and Daphnia and stuff that's that size, that's when really you want to feed them like salmon meal or something that's very high in protein. Aquarium Co-op's fry food's pretty good for that. It doesn't have a lot of the color enhancers and omega 3s and 6s in the amounts that's like enhanced, but salmon meal and dried fish head and guts and organs and stuff is pretty heavy in that. So it's a pretty good start as a powdered little food that floats. The thing is, you just want to be careful that it doesn't build up into, that it doesn't sink into your tank, because they've got their systems when they show them on TV, or on YouTube rather. A lot of times their systems are set up to circulate the water, and they use like a glass bottom tank or a little tray, but that constantly moves the food that they miss, or the poop that they have moves it out of there, and fungus won't form, whereas it can. Fungal and bacterial problems can develop, and then you get nitrates, nitrites, ammonia, and other issues coming up. Let's see here. Passion fruit, good idea. Yes. No, I mean, they grow inside the shrimp, not in the tank. No, wait, what? Secret history. No, they are growing inside the shrimp, not in the tank. What were we talking about? I already forgot. Let's see here. I lost it probably. I think I lost your comment. Oh wait, here we go. Recently, another ghost shrimp have a few spaghetti worms in them. Oh, they're in, like, okay, so they have a parasite worm. I don't know the best course of action there. Maybe Grant from the Garden of Eater would know. That's hard. I've never treated shrimp for parasites other than Iliobiopsidae, and there's a new the green fungus algae combo that grows on them, on their eggs and on their swimmerets. There is a new treatment out by the Florida Aquaculture Association, but it's, yeah, I don't treat with other, I don't know anything else. Also, Diane Werzer, thank you so very much for the 1999 super chat. You rock. I really appreciate it. It helps keep me going, especially when the chat's coming up on 2 hours. It's like, man, getting a little tired, but I'm going to shine it on a little bit longer, try to get through these questions. Obviously want to help as many people as I can. If I am, maybe I'm leading you astray. I don't know. Hopefully it's helping. Also, Mick, what's up? I heard our voice. It was you. Just woke up over here, computer on. You were in my dream helping me escape the zombies. Well, Mick, if you ever need me to help you escape zombies, I mean, I'm at your side. Just call. Cree was also a word in Stargate. Nerd. Whoop, whoop. Really enjoying this stream. Homegrown Aquatics. Thanks. Well, I appreciate it. Cree are also, yes, Cree and Creek. And, what's the other one? Creek, Cree. There's another one, too, of the Native American tribes that are now settled out in Oklahoma. All right. Let's see here. Boy, you guys beat me to the punch. I'm way behind. All right, I'm gonna have to skip down here. I feel like I'm just not. Oh wait, there we go. I'm already here. Passion fruit. Talk to me about solar powered pumps for running an outdoor in pond mechanical filtration flow for BCBs. I won't trust the passive ion exchange by charge clay part. Yeah, well, I don't trust that much that comes out of his mouth anymore. I love that he's gotten the anoxic filtration thoughts going in our minds. There's definitely, that's a thing that's real. There's a lot of bacteria that does that. There's a whole realm of life that's anoxic, anaerobic, aerobic, all the different types. There's the extremophiles and stuff. But Um, yeah, I don't know. You know, the other thing is, do you really want to be sequestering? Uh, yes, plants feed better from substrate when they eat ammonia and ammonium gas and different gas, liquid, solid, whatever. But basically, do you want them to be feeding from the ammonia in the substrate more efficiently, and that's better for them? Is it that much of a boost compared to if they feed from the nitrites and nitrates, more so nitrates that are in the water column or that are just right in the top layer? They're strong words, and they're strong words because I've done extensive research. I have asked Dr. Novak to show me he's a doctor, and Mr. Novak has no proof of that. I assumed he just had some PhD, not necessarily in anything related to fish. And I feel like years ago I had heard that from him, but I haven't heard. Let's just say every registry I've checked, other academics have checked, current academics have checked, other limnologists I've got a hold of that are the heads of departments. There's only 8 or 9 schools that will give out a degree in that. None of them have heard of who he is other than through YouTube. And every accreditation he has is self accolades and someone referencing what he said in an earlier paper. He may have a degree and it's just from before any of it was tracked, and maybe he does. But it's very bizarre that he's ducked me and about a dozen other people asking for that. And he's gone totally off the edge talking about like conspiracies and the government controlling viruses and all sorts of nutso stuff. Sorry if you believe in that. I don't. But basically saying like it's mind control, and some of this stuff is just getting very far into conspiracy, and he's saying that there's no effective treatments that they're putting out there for the virus, and that the cure was figured out by Trump. Just getting into some really like very political and not science related stuff. And yeah, it's very disconcerting because anything peer reviewed now he's poo-pooing and saying, well, look at this study. And 2 of the people that he said existed as sources, I'm just going to say it now because we're deep into this, but 2 of the people that are in his like online books that he sells and whatnot, and he'll also do consultations, licensing for patent things. He built a company licensed under an LLC under one guy. It's the same guy who reviews his books. I can't find that guy's accredited anywhere or that he even exists. And when I ask for his contact, can't get it. I've even made burner accounts. So if any of you can get any info from him on his accreditation, I would love to see that. So yeah, I have not watched his channel since the first time I saw his video. Yeah, well, I watched his channel years ago, and some of it's fine. It's like from German literature, German academic stuff about, you know, waste, what do you call it? Water waste treatment plants, and others is on septic tank and drainage fields. And there's truth to it, deep sand beds and all sorts of stuff. But that doesn't mean it's going to work on a mini scale always. And it doesn't mean that I don't trust it. I've tried a lot of it, and I just haven't seen a huge result that's any different than a Wallstead tank. I don't think people give enough credit to how much surface area in a well-planted tank with a bumpy surface of, you know, a substrate that's little round spheres that are porous, and you know, I don't think people give that credit to how much that can handle the nitrates, nitrites, all that stuff. I think surface area. This is Dr. Novak, as he's known, but Kevin Novak, Mr. Kevin Novak is how he's going to get it known. Alex, how are the enigmatic chromis leucanzi? They're doing good. We looked at them earlier, but we can go say hi to them. I've never seen a single example of a functioning nitrate-reducing anoxic plenum system that wasn't heavily planted. You know, that's one interesting thing. I've seen big bog filters work outside with koi, and I think there might be something to like ion exchange with koi in a big enough area with a block of something very large. I just don't see it. I won't go into it now, but you guys who know what I'm talking about, you guys are in the loop and you get it too. And you can debate me in the comments, like always seems to happen. But unless it's a peer-reviewed study, I'm not buying it. You can claim whatever you want online. And I don't like the stolen valor aspect of, you know, if he's not a doctor, he's not a doctor. Like, there's plenty of people who aren't doctors that are smarter than a lot of the PhDs I know. Here's the Enigmatochromis lucanzi. She's colored up pretty nice. Yeah, very nice. And the male's just been hanging out there. I can't get them to spawn, though. They color up, they look amazing, and then they do nothing. Hey, since I finally made it, let me know, let me show the support I can. Well, thank you so very much, Homegrown Aquatics. I really do appreciate it. Thanks. You're supporting the filtration of pseudoscience from our hobby. Unless I say it on accident. That's okay. Those things can hang out. No, actually, if you hear me say something and you're like, actually, I don't think that's the way science works, please feel free to interject, because I'm not trying to mislead anyone. I don't have a dog in the fight, or a cat in the fight, or a fish in the fight. I want the accurate information out there, and I think it's just fascinating. And I don't understand the nuances of like in-depth organic chemistry or ionic exchange beyond, you know, what I can self-educate. I went to college for some of that, but it's been 15 years and I'm not in the field. So, yeah, I am an archaeologist, if anything, accreditation-wise, and probably a pretty poor one at that, with me never really doing it after about 2 years of work. All right, so Diane Werzer, Alex, finally have a question. I have a heavily planted 32-gallon tank. It's been set up for months. I need more substrate to be added. Help, what can I do? What can I do without taking it down? So I have a whole video called How to Add Substrate to an Existing Tank. But let me give you the summary of it. So basically there's a few ways to do it. The easiest way is to take out the existing in sections, so like a lasagna. And you will take out one little piece, and if you want, you can put some sand. You can put some sand to kind of cap the edges of that piece for the fish that are in your container. But you're going to take like 1/10 of the substrate one day and replace it with something new, and then cap it with sand. The other thing you can do is you can take off a few layers, put a bunch of sand in, or put a bunch of substrate in, new aqua soil in with the nutrient levels and root tabs you need. And then you want to do a big old water change, and with a colander or a plate or something to disperse the water spilling, you can also then do a water change and cap it off with 1 inch or 2 of sand. If you don't like the sand in the end, you can always remove some of it. But sand or silt, clay, anything that's fine particles is going to cap that and lock it in, and then you can do your water change. But I would add it a little bit at a time and then cap it ideally. So I mean, what that looks like is, if you've got lots of plants in there already, just take out what you can. It's a little tedious. Take out what you can. It's going to create some muck in the aquarium. If you have something that's extremely sensitive to nitrates, that's when you would want to consider taking the fish out. But I mean, some rainbow fish maybe, some gobies maybe, but most fish are going to be able to handle that, especially if you got good filtration on your tank. Maybe have an extra hang off the back filter that's ready to go. That would help if you're really worried about it. But I've done it in as little as about 6 chunks of substrate in like a 20 long, and moved the substrate out, put the new substrate in, and when it was totally depleted, and then put sand over it. It's a little TDS. Yes, it will create TDS. Well, actually, it probably won't create that much TDS because it won't be totally dissolved. It'll be partially dissolved, suspended particles. Homegrown aquatics. This stream is perfect for me, Alex. I have a filterless, heaterless, deep substrate planted tank, mass breeding Endler guppies in there. Right on. Sounds like my kind of tank. I mean, I keep all kinds of tanks, but I like the ones that aren't a lot of work. The ones that are fun to watch, full of life, create food for the fish that are in them, take care of the nitrates for the fish in them, and yeah. And hopefully not too expensive. Archaeology question. You know, actually, Brooklyn Bell sent me some really cool pictures of her dad found grape shot. There were markings on this cannonball, and it's either a swivel gun ball or a full-on grape shot, cluster shot ball from the British. But it looks like we found, literally where he found it on the map, there was a battle in the Civil War. It makes sense. There was a British outpost of a guy who used to be a British naval commander who lived on the island where he found the grape shot, who would have had access to a boat that crashed there 40 years earlier. So he probably would have had all the grape shot and all the cannon fodder that was sitting in the boat. And they found this ball. Oh, so cool. We were able to get like a whole story of possible reasons why this British cannonball ended up in Biloxi, Mississippi. Under 8 inches of the ground. So yes, I do love archaeology questions and stuff. They're always fun. I found several dozen smooth rounded stones in a Native American shell trash pile, so a midden, alongside flint and obsidian flakes and a few broken blades. Do you think that these had some cultural significance and were collected and then discarded and lost? That's probably a trash pile. I don't mean to be mean or anything, but they're probably making tools there, and there's a chance there's making beads out of bone and stuff there, and they're drilling using their hands or a bow drill, like you would to start a fire. Also, flint knapping with an antler or by pressure point antler working, and it's probably your run-of-the-mill, they're sharpening their blades. Instead, you know, the way it would work is they'd have their obsidian blade or spear like this, and whenever they would get dull, they throw it into a bison. It would look very similar to this, and they would actually, with pressure, hit the backside of the stone, and it would make little breaks in the stone like these, called concussive occlusions. And so hitting the back side of the blade causes the other side to bust out, and it makes these really sharp little flakes. But basically, you have a knife that you can continually sharpen. An obsidian can go all the way down past well past a micron. It can go to 1 molecule sharpness. No other blade can have that. It's extremely brittle though. But I mean, if you think that the spherical shapes have some significance, definitely hold on to them. Take some pictures. You can send them to me. I'll probably be able to tell you if there's something that's run of the mill or something else. But the thing is, if they're from 14,200 years ago, they're extremely significant in North America. If they're from 4,000 years ago, they're extremely common in North America. So that's why amateur archaeology is hard. And I say that by, even if, you know, I run into it with that background and training, if I don't excavate the whole area and see what the layers of deposition are and know the sediment types that are in the region and the geological history and the human history of the region, doesn't do any good. Gloria C, thank you so much for the Dr. Alex laptop fund. Well, Brian Brian so kindly is sending me a PC, it sounds like, that I'll be able to use at least in the interim, which, man, I can't get over how kind that is, Brian. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Alex requests you to talk about using fertilizers in a filterless tank. Is it required at all to use fertilizers, liquid? And I don't generally in a filterless tank. I try to include fertilization within the substrate and pack it under a cap of some sort. And then it's packed off by more mulm. And then that way, all your nutrients are in there. Your plant roots will get at it. Some of your worms, Malaysian trumpet snails, other stuff like that, may get to it and bacteria in the life of your tank. But you're keeping it kind of a closed loop. The thing is, when you cut plants, that's when I will use sometimes a very diluted, very targeted, no nitrates generally, and no iron generally. Those are in abundance usually. So really what you want to look out for is phosphates can build up, but they can also deplete. So I would want something with trace amounts of phosphate, trace amounts of potassium, and manganese and magnesium and zinc are the and molybdenum. Those are the things that I would want in that. And so these are what I use. If I'm trying to grow and I've got enough light and my nitrates are good, they're low and there's no algae bloom, then I will use ADA Brighty K, which is just diluted potash in water with a few things that keep it as a suspension or emulsion. And then the green Brighty mineral, which is magnesium, sulfur, boron, copper, iron, manganese, molybdenum, and then zinc. And boric acid, and it's elemental copper, by the way. And then the iron, I mean, we're talking the most there is of anything in here is 0.01%. They're very trace amounts. I'm basically buying nothing. It's a ripoff. But it does work pretty well as a daily doser. Also, there's no nitrates in there, and so that's what's nice. And you don't get the like compounding effect. The thing is, if you are doing top-ups on a filterless tank with water, you definitely want to be using RO water or close to it. Here, my tap water is 20 TDS out of the tap frequently. Sometimes it's as low as 5, other times, and I'm like, there's chlorine in that too? That must all be chlorine. And that's not much chlorine. And then other times it goes up to like 40 or 50 in the end of summer if we're having a drought. But still, I always have pretty low TDS, and so I can top off my tanks with my water. Other people in other regions, if you have 200, 300, 400, 500, 1,000 TDS coming out of your tap, you're going to need to have RO water or buy some sort of water that has low TDS so that you're not stacking up whatever that is. Now, you'll have to figure out what that is you're stacking up. It may be something that is totally asymptomatic, no problems, and not an issue, or it could be something that is volatile and terrible for your tank. Let's see here. Matt Dowling, love your comments on the nail polish. I've gotten 2 daughters under 5, and I frequently end up with toenails or fingernails painted. I work construction, have never taken it off before. Right on, man. Yeah, no, it's we babysit our friends' kids and stuff. But really, what started it, like again, because as a teenager, I think I did it when I dyed my hair and just did whatever I wanted, anything for attention. The other thing was I was sitting with my wife and I was like, I can do it better than you. And she's like, shut up, no, you can't. And I was a painter for a living at the time, so I did it, and it was like I did a pretty flawless job, if I do say so myself. And she was very enraged. So I painted my nails, and then she's like, well, you're going to take that off though, right? And I was like, no, I think I did a good job. So now she makes me paint her nails. So really the joke's on me. That's interesting. Stones were the shape and size of marbles and round enough to roll like a ball. Passionate fruit. That could be musket balls trying to be made. Usually they would shatter when fired, but that's interesting. Beads is probably the most likely answer, but that is interesting. They could be clay too. I mean, I don't know how many you have, but if you got plenty, you could take a hammer and smash one. If it turns to powder and dust, you'll know it was clay. If it cracks or crumbles, you'll know it was something else. That's interesting though. Let's see here. Yeah, Bunny Viper, like Bunny Viper said, they did make all sorts of different marbles and statues, and they use clay, they use stone. If they made them out of stone, then they had a very specific purpose. It's likely that it's post contact because working stone was a lot more tedious, and generally you wouldn't make just like a little sphere without a hole through it. And they would work those stones, for a lot of hours, but um, it was very purposeful because of that. If it's made like that, it's a little more frivolous. But it's still cool. I have a planted tank, 29 gallon. It has a filter, heater, air, max 1 inch, one in mud, 2.5 to 3 inches of sand, 25 fish, cardinal, tetra, auto, snails, and shrimp. NO2, NO3 seem to stay at zero very little. Do I need to change your water? Nope, probably not. Over time, if you start seeing or smelling, if you start smelling, there's something that goes by the name of putrescine, and it is the breakdown of biological stuff. It can happen from plants, but it happens from more animals. If you start smelling that, then you might want to be careful because you could get a harmful algae bloom. And if you don't have any movement in the tank, like other than fish and the temperature change at night, you may want to change water every once in a while. But I mean, other than evaporation, you're probably, you can leave it at just evaporation. That's the amount I would change it, whatever evaporation is. And use the RO or whatnot. But if you've got zero nitrites and nitrates and your plants seem to be suffering, that's when maybe you could supplement either with root tabs or a liquid additive like the ones I was just showing, and it might bring a little more vitality to the tank for a while. What would you say too much sulfate? Because of the salts I bought, if I want to stop dosing nitrate but not decrease potassium, I'll have to up the SO4. Yeah, I mean, with the high tech, uh, the thing about sulfates is like fish can withstand, especially like salts. Fish can withstand a lot of like the sodium and stuff too. A lot more than we give freshwater fish credit for. The other way is not so true, where the saltwater fish going into freshwater, that doesn't go so well. But freshwater fish going into salty substances goes better, especially if it's kind of a frog in the tea kettle thing. And I would say it depends on your plants. And Sandy, I would say Co-op sells a good all-in-one if you do weekly water changes and you have a non-active substrate like Fluval stratum, like something that doesn't have ammonia and nitrates in it. Actually, you know what? I have a video called "My Problem with All-in-One." The problem or my problem with all-in-one fertilizers, and I go over when you would be okay using that versus when you would not. See, he includes nitrate. It's all out of Nylock or was for a long time. I assume it still is. Who makes very customizable fertilizer combinations, like to whatever you want. He's got all the scientific stuff. Colin Griss is a great guy. For a while, he'd offer to make 50-gallon barrels for people. To give you an idea, it would be something like $400 for his time and effort being like most of the money. There's like maybe in a 50-gallon drum of the stuff that's going to go into those things, there's into a little pump bottle. In an entire 50-gallon drum of that, it's maybe $10 worth of chemicals. So there also is a crazy markup. The bottle probably costs 10 to 50 times what the stuff in Easy Green is. That being said, most of the all-in-ones are doing that, other than Brightwell has one that doesn't have the nitrites in it and has the extra potassium. Because the other thing is, most companies other than ADA and their brighty green lines, they will not emulsify and suspend potassium. Potassium or potash or whatever you want to use, you can also get. It's cheaper than dirt, especially the amounts we're talking about here, but it won't suspend in water. It falls out of dilution and it turns into clumps and it looks like crap in a product, right? And so the thing is, they tried to super load it with that. And some of the early bottles, since I live next to the flagship store, I would go in and buy them and stuff, and I did use them on some tanks. But the bottles, you'd see it falling to the bottom, and he didn't like that. And a lot of people don't like that. They think there's something wrong. You need to shake it. Do I need to shake it? Do I not? Am I getting it like too concentrated? And so it becomes this whole issue. And potassium's always, out of all those, even over iron and stuff, it's the one that is going to not want to suspend or dissolve into water. And so that's the limiter in a lot of those. And unless they make it in emulsion and suspend it with some sort of, I think it's a lipid I think it's a lipid that has to be in it, then it's not going to suspend in the water on its own. So when you're buying something like the ADA one, it actually has more than water could hold in the potassium, and the potassium is a limiting factor in a lot of things in your aquarium. It kind of controls the metabolism. I mean, if you had to give it one function of your plants, along with phosphate. And carbon limits it because carbon, is the building block. It's the scaffolding, and you can only use those other micro and macronutrients as much as the carbon scaffold is there to function. Let's see here. I use Tropica Premium. It has no nitrate or phosphate. Right. Okay. That's yeah. See, I would go with something like that. I just don't like adding more nitrates, and also most people have enough iron in their systems. Homegrown clocks. Alex, I was wondering if autosyncless Fifogamy phone is broken. I don't know. I don't know what that means. I am lost. Fifi? Fifth. Oh, okay. If it's a joke, I get what you're saying. If not, I'm lost. I talk to my plants. They only need my support. Good. Well, they seem to have it. Well, guys, I'm going on 2.5 hours. I think I'm gonna log off. I hope this has been helpful. I hope I didn't miss too many questions. Try to jump around. I know my brain is a bunch of friggin' squirrels with textbooks running around throwing them at each other. That's what's going on in my brain most of the time. So I hope tonight you guys were entertained, had a good time. I'm going to rest for a bit, but there's a good chance around 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, something like that, I will be back and playing with my microscope live, if I can get some of the other things done that I need to do. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you guys had a good time, and thank you so much for the members that joined, the super chats, the great questions, the jokes. You guys rock. I love it. Especially, like I was saying, wife's out of town. I'm leaning on you guys. I'll probably do another stream before Friday, obviously, because of that. If you haven't hit the thumbs up yet, I'd appreciate it if you did. Be a lot cooler if you did. I'll leave you on the parting note of my 3 ladies. Doodly 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 doo. 3 ladies. And that's the only boy right there. So it's actually 2 ladies. I found out these 2 black angelfish, both female, both laid eggs, never got fertilized. These 2 laid eggs, never got fertilized. I think he's the only male, and I don't think he cares that they lay eggs. I think he's just special. All right, guys. Well, I'll talk to you later. I was gonna say, if you join me on the stream later, if you're awake, especially if you're a Europeaner or or someone overseas from America, in Australia or something, India, Tokyo. Then I have green water, brown water, black water, mom, 6 kinds of algae, and it's kind of a project of taking photos too that I have been on a kick of. But we've got lots of essentially freshwater plankton that I'll be looking at. So that'll be going on if I do another live stream tonight or tomorrow or something. But, thank you guys. I appreciate you hanging out. I had a good time. A lot of you hung out the whole time. It's pretty crazy, but I mean, I can dig it. You guys are pretty hardcore. I'm going to put a coat on. I'm going to go outside because I always get hot after these streams. But I really appreciate you guys being you guys. Hold on, let me get my coat on. And for all of the awesomeness that you bring. 99.9% of you guys are rad. And the other thing I need to do, and I should probably do it before my wife returns from San Diego, is I should probably get these filled, at least the jars. She won't notice this in the fish room. The jars, especially if I put one up in the window, oh yeah, she's going to notice it. So it better look good. It better look fancy. So I'm thinking that this is probably the first one I should scape, the 4.8 gallon one, because I got to sneak that in. So it's just always been here when she returns from San Diego. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to get out of here. I'll talk to you 5 a.m. tomorrow. So let me tell you, it's 10 p.m. my time. So probably in 4 or 5 hours, there's a chance I may stream again if I'm still awake. Yeah. If I'm not, well, there won't be. But yeah, if I'm still awake and you guys are around in 4 or 5 hours, whatever time that makes it where you're at, it'll be 3 a.m. my time. There's a good chance that I'll stream tonight if I'm awake. So, all right, guys. Well, have a good one. Ooh, Italian wall lizard. I'll have her check. She was just in Little Italy last night. Eating cool stuff without me. All right, guys. Well, have a good one. Zombies say hi. Well, don't let them eat all of you. Save some for later. Tell them they need leftovers. Man, my hair is frizzy. The fish room. Fish room, fish room. All right, guys. Well, I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.